Hey mini enthusiasts, how you doing? So I hope you're having a great weekend. This week's update, as you might have guessed by the intro, is a quick update on Bolt. So on Wednesday this week we done another track day in Bolt. It didn't quite all go according to plan. I'll go into that in a moment. But I just wanted to talk a little bit about track days to begin with. If you've never done one before and you're into motorsport, you enjoy that sort of thing, certainly if you're into sort of karting and you enjoy that, if you've got the opportunity to do a track day, I'd really encourage it. I was really nervous about doing track days when I first started doing it. First track day I done was in Vinny. I've watched a few videos on YouTube and on the web, and it just looked like complete and utter carnage to me. There's a track day video, I think it's called something like Boy Racer Track Day 1990s or something like that. I'll stick a link in the description down the bottom, but it's scary. If you watch that before you go on a track day, you will not, it will completely put you off, because everyone's driving around like absolute nutcases, spinning all over the place, going off the track onto the grass. Well, from my experience anyway, I can tell you that is about as far from reality as you can get. From what I've seen of track days, and I've only done them at Goodwood and Brands Hatch, they are extremely well organised. Everyone is very sensible. Certainly some of the recent track days I've done that have been during the week, quite a lot of the drivers there are professional drivers or they're amateur race teams, and they're using the track day to get sort of their car shakedown tested or get their car set up. So you're on the track with some very experienced professional drivers as well that all drive very sensibly. So like I say, I'll stick a link to the 1990s track day in the video down the bottom. Go and have a look, because it is quite hilarious to watch actually, but it would put you off track days forever. I've done I think 5 or 6 track days now, so I'm kind of getting a little bit used to it now, certainly more comfortable with it. Like I say, everyone in the main is ultra professional. There's a couple of rules on track days which they seem to enforce everywhere, I think. You only overtake by invitation, so there's no overtaking on corners. That's a golden rule, that is. You don't overtake anyone on corners. You only overtake on the straight, and you only overtake when invited to do so. So you need to be quite careful if you're driving around in a slightly slower car or a much slower car, to keep an eye on your mirrors, see what's behind you, and the marshals will blue flag you as well. If there's a faster car coming up behind, or they've followed you for a couple of corners, they will blue flag you just to let you know you need to let the car pass behind you. But as I say, the etiquette's very good actually. You'll see in this video towards the end actually, there's a couple of times I got a little bit frustrated, Mark did as well, because you do get slower cars on there, and on a car like Bolt it can be quite deceptive. When someone sees a Mini on the track or a classic Mini in their rearview mirror, they don't expect it to be following around on their bumper trying to overtake them. And Bolt is a quick car. We've really found that out now. It's lapping Brands Hatch in a minute now. That's not far off Mini Meaglia times. It's only a few seconds off what they do. So it's a very quick car. Pretty much any road car down there within reason, apart from supercars. So you know, your Volkswagen Golf GTIs, your Subaru Imprezas, things like that. Bolt will beat them unless they've been highly tuned. It is a very quick car. But like I say, track days are really great. Hope you enjoy this week's video. As I say, I wasn't sure whether to keep uploading the track days, because I'm not sure whether they're that interesting. So let me know if you enjoy them. Leave a comment down in the description down the bottom. And just a bit about this week's track day actually. So myself and Mark last weekend, I think it was, it might have been the weekend before, we went and spent a day down on Bolt getting it prepped up for the track day. So we fitted some shorter studs. Mark had bought some new Force Racing wheels. So we've now got 2 sets of wheels and tyres. We've got Force Racing wheels with wet tyres on, or I suppose damp stroke wet tyres, and we've got a set of specialist component wheels with semi-slicks on. So we fitted some shorter studs so we could try them. We tried the sort of damp stroke wet tyres for the first part of the track day this week, and the lack of grip compared to the semi-slips is just phenomenal. I reckon it's probably 2 or 3 seconds a lap slower with the sort of set, you know, the damp sort of wet tyres, and they're still Yokohama tyres, so they're still good tyres, but phenomenal difference between that and the semi-slicks. So we fitted the short studs. I had to do a little adjustment to the clutch master cylinder push rod. It was basically too long, so to cut it short, tap a bit more thread on it so we could screw it in a little bit further, get that set up. Can't remember what else we'd done, to be honest. Just bits and bobs, just making sure it was all ready to go for the track day. Unfortunately, we went down for the track day. We were just waiting for a Speedo blanking plate to come through from KAD, Kent Automotive Developments, I think they're called. That turned up on the day of the track day, actually got delivered to Brands Hatch. So I fitted that down there. We had a small oil leak. We thought it was from the Speedo drive housing, so we fitted a blanking plate now. Took the car for its noise test, come back, and it was absolutely pissing out oil. So immediately had a quick look underneath. Now it's had a little oil leak for the last few track days we've done, and we've been trying to narrow it down each time. Thought we'd narrowed it down to the Speedo drive seal, but unfortunately it wasn't that. What it actually was the timing case, or the timing cover breather. It looks like it might have been repaired before, so it's an A plus timing cover with a breather on the end, and basically brazing from around the breather had cracked, and it cracked a big split in that breather there. It was almost completely off, so it was pouring out oil. So Mark made a quick call to Swiftune. Luckily I had one, so Mark disappeared off to Swiftune. I stayed around, took the timing cover off, got it ready for the new one. Luckily Mark's son was there to help me out, because it was really difficult to get it off. I mean, you take as many tools as you can on a track day, but you can guarantee there'll always be something there that you need or you don't have. So anyway, got it off eventually. The biggest problem actually was getting the crank pulley bolt off. Couldn't get the starter motor out, couldn't lock the engine up. Done it eventually, got it, fitted a new timing case cover, bolted it all back up, and we had it finished just before lunch. We managed to get one run in before lunch, and then we had all afternoon on the car. So it's a bit frantic, and I certainly earned my keep that day. So yeah, as much as we try and prepare for track days, I mean, we take loads and loads of stuff down there with us just in case, but you never quite know what you're going to need. So again, that's a consideration. If you're going to do track days, you know, spend some time beforehand to make sure the car's prepped and ready to go. If you're using a road legal car that's on the road and used regularly, you probably need to do a little bit more care, due diligence, make sure everything's bolted down, take anything out that's loose, you know, spare wheels, CDs in the car, I don't know, whatever you've got in the car, take it all out and take down as many tools as you can carry, really. We always hire a garage when we go down there. You don't have to hire a garage, you can just park outside in the paddock. It's a little bit more expensive for the track day, but for a day out, for a day's motorsport, for a huge amount of fun, it's pretty good value for money. I can't recall exactly what it costs this time. I think if you book early enough, it's just under a couple of £100. I think it might be £180, and then it's a little bit more if you want a garage as well. But you can have a lot of fun for that money. And when there's two of you and you're splitting it maybe 2 or 3 ways, if you've got multiple drivers, it's really good value for money. I mean, it's probably more cost effective than go-karting, you know, when you take into account the amount of time you have on the track. So like I say, hope you enjoy this week's update. Track days, if you've never done one, always sort of giving one a go, I would really encourage you, give it a go. It's far more professional and it's a lot of fun. It really is enjoyable, and you don't have to have anything special to do it. I do track days, I see old BMWs which are probably worth 300 or 400 quid, which people have just bought for a track day car, and then like you'll see in this week's update and in the intro actually, a super duper Ferrari. Couldn't tell you which one it is, I'm not up on my Ferraris actually. It was red, so that's 90% right for a Ferrari, but it was extremely quick, it was extremely fast. It was more than just a road going Ferrari. I think it had been tweaked and tuned and that sort of thing, but sounded phenomenal as well. So that's me done for chatting, so please enjoy the video. Like I say, if you enjoy this sort of thing, leave a comment down the bottom, and I'll make sure I video next time I go on a track day. So enjoy the rest of the weekend, guys, and catch up with you next week.